Hi, and welcome to Making Music. My name is Dan Aroney, and I'll be your host for the next half hour. This show is sponsored by Guitar Showcase in San Jose, California. This week we have a very special guest. I would love to introduce to you Tiran Porter. Tiran,
hello, Dan.
Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
It is great to have you here this week. Tiran was the bass player for the Doobies from 1971 to 1980, from 1987 to 1992. He played on 10 of the Doobie Brothers albums.
It was a dubious distinction.
And also, you've been on over 40 albums with artists as well since then. And most currently, you're playing with the White Album Ensemble Band, or White Album Ensemble, I should say. But let's go back to the beginning. Now, are you from the Bay Area originally?
No, I grew up in Los Angeles. Spent most of my formative years down there, and I moved up here when I joined the Doobies in 1971.
Now, what was that? When did you start playing? And did you start playing bass?
No, I started playing guitar probably at the age of around 14 or 15. And I couldn't fast enough how to play guitar, so I started playing bass lines on the bottom four strings, and the other male vocalist in the band I was in at the time said, you know, you ought to just get a bass. You know, you're already playing it.
Now, did you ever take lessons?
No.
You didn't? This is just self-taught?
Myself how to play by playing along with Beatle albums.
Oh, what a great full circle that is.
Yes.
So when did you move to the Bay Area?
1971.
Now, but let's go back to L.A., I'm sorry, your first band.
First band I was in was a bunch of high school friends of mine and I, Greenwich Mean Time. And we played high school functions and parties until one day in 1966 when we played what was called a hootenanny back then at a place called the House of the Rising Sun in Redondo Beach. And if I met the guys in another band that played that hoot that night, I would never have been in the Doobies.
Now, now is this band local to here, or were they from L.A. as well?
No, they were local to here. They were from the San Jose area, and they called themselves the Slippery Rock String Band. They were a bluegrass band.
Uh-huh. And anyone in particular in the band that you met?
All four of them. Chuck McCabe, Mike Mindell, Bob Harvey, and what was the guitarist's name? Lee Chaney.
Now, did you move up here then after that?
No, it took another 6 years before I moved up here.
And so when you did, this is when you got together with Chuck McCabe?
No, I got together with Chuck McCabe while I was still in L.A. They stayed down there for quite a number of years.
So how did now give me the connection then to the Doobie Brothers.
Well, the violin player with the Slippery Rock String Band, when their band broke up and my band broke up, we merged and became a rock band called the Sixpenny Opera. And we went through various incarnations of that, and when the last one broke up, Mike Mindell moved back up to San Jose, and about a year later he called me and said, Ty, you got to come up here and jam. I met this great guitar player named Pat Simmons. You got to come up. So I did, and that was probably around late 69, early 70.
But they weren't the Doobie Brothers
no.
yet?
It was a band called Scratch. We just played as a trio around the South Bay area here. And during that time, we met what at the time was the nucleus of the Doobie Brothers, Tom Johnston, John Hartman, and Dave Sjogren.
So they were all living in San Jose at the time. But Dave Sjogren was playing bass.
Yeah.
So you came up. Now, how did go out and you come in?
Hold on.
Okay.
They took Pat out of our band. And
they stole Pat from you.
Pat. So I went back to L.A., put another couple of bands together. They got signed to Warner Brothers, made an album, did a tour, both of which failed miserably. At the end of that time, Dave got disillusioned and left. I was the only other bass player they knew that sang. So Pat called me up in L.A. and said, come on up.
And that was where it started. Now, did they already have an album out? Or did
they had one album out.
And you started in 71 then?
Yeah.
Is that right?
And right about the same time that they were starting to cut the album, which eventually became Toulouse Street.
Mm-hmm. So after that, and I mean, that wasn't as mainstream as some of the others that did. I think, what was after Toulouse Street?
After Toulouse Street was The Captain and Me.
And that's really a lot of people. I mean, I certainly have it in my collection of albums.
There were a couple of hits off of Toulouse Street. Listen to the Music was on that album.
Okay.
Jesus Just All Right. But the next one sort of put us over the top. And that had China Grove, Long Train Runnin', and City Midnight Lady.
Oh, yeah, which are great songs. That's one of my favorites, of course. It's just a great slow shuffled almost type of song. Yeah. So, and then you've gone after that. You went on to do what they did a total of 8 albums during. Now, why? And so, and you guys were playing absolutely everything. I mean, you played in Saturday Night Live. You've played Johnny Carson show, I think.
No, we did that came later. We did Midnight Special in the 70s, Don Kirshner's Rock, Dick Clark's Rockin' New Year's Eve, Saturday Night Live. But we didn't do the late night shows until we reformed in the 80s.
And you guys did Saturday Night Live. Now, was it as crazy and wild as everyone says it is?
Yeah,
John
Belushi and Dan Aykroyd were there. Was.
Now, that must have been something to see.
Yeah, it was. I can't tell you about it.
Not on TV anyway.
No.
And so you went on to do 8 albums with them, and but you also, like I say, you did Johnny Carson. Now, how did that come about?
After I left the Doobies the first time, our producer Ted Templeman put me in touch with Nicolette Larson, and he put me into her band to do an album, and to promote that album, we did a short tour in California. And we did this with Johnny Carson.
Oh, so that's when you were with Nicolette, not with the Doobies. Oh, how cool.
Yeah. So I got to do Carson, but not with the Doobies.
Oh, so you left after 87.
No, I left after 1980.
Okay, 80, I'm sorry.
And I spent the next 6.5 years away from the band, and then there came a reformation, and they drugged me back in.
But that was for the tour. They did, I think, 6 locations, and that was the big band. They brought everyone
the dubious
back
big band.
Now, I think we have a tape that we're going to watch of this, and this was, and I'll tell you, my wife and I, we were at that show. It was at the Shoreline Amphitheater in, I think, 1987, and this was one of the 6 reunion concerts that you guys did. And I always want to say a quick hi to Sid Thompson and his wife, Wonderful. We were up in the lawn for that concert. So I think we have a tape. We're going to run it of that you guys playing that night. That was a great tape. And now you did 6 shows from the big band. Now, how many guys were playing in that?
Let's see, 4 drummers, 4 guitar players, 2 keyboard players, a percussionist, and 1 bassist.
And then how many? And you guys played 6.
6
Where'd you play at?
San Diego, Hollywood, Las Vegas, Shoreline Amphitheater here in the Bay Area, Portland, Oregon, and Tacoma, Washington.
Cool. Now, we're going to go back. We're going to actually go back now. We're going to take a little trip back because we have a couple pictures of you that we found in the archive. And we want to run a picture of you with your very first bass.